I mean, I was told by my film professor, there are films and there are movies. And sometimes you've got to know what you're walking into.
Yeah. See, but I come from a time when movies were films.
Good morning, movie friends, and welcome back to the Court of Cinema podcast. I'm Real Slogan. Here we talk about everything film and TV. I hope you all had an incredible Thanksgiving. Mine overall, I'd say, was pretty boring. Got a chance to watch the Lions lose on Thanksgiving again to the Green Bay Packers. I'm not too sure what I expected to be different this year. I do think Goff's going to get it done, but overall, seeing him get packed up by Jordan Love was definitely a tragedy in every way. But besides the football games, the food was definitely hitting in my household this year. My mom definitely knocked it out of the park. The turkey, I don't even really tap into too much, but my mom made it absolutely perfectly. And on the movies side of things, I didn't watch any new movies that week. I didn't see Napoleon. I saw that it got some pretty mixed reviews, so I didn't really want to go bother. The Hunger Games sequel, I also just kind of skipped out on. I didn't really want to bother going to see that film. I had plans to rewatch the last 4 films and then go back and rewatch the new movie, but that just didn't end up happening, so overall, I didn't watch any new releases. Although besides the movies, I did watch Invincible Season 2, something that I've been anticipating the entire year. Ever since it launched back in 2021, I've been just eager to see where they take this story, and I'm so happy that Season 2 came out. I got a chance to watch it. It was absolutely incredible, dare I say perfect, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. So before we talk about Season 2, let me just take you back in time real quick to when the show first launched, March 25th, 2021. And overall, this year was pretty bad for comic book media. We had WandaVision, which overall, pretty good, but just kind of had an underwhelming ending for me. Falcon and Winter Soldier, also just kind of underwhelming and forgettable. Black Widow, pretty terrible. Eternals, also very bad. And even DC just couldn't really seem to find their footing in their very complicated DCEU universe. But there was hope. There was a bright glimmer of hope in the world, that being Invincible Season 1. A show that overall, the concept is pretty simple. It's pretty bland. It's pretty basic. We've seen it done time and time again. A kid who wants to be a hero, makes his own suit, whatever. We've seen it run time and time again. For Invincible, it's really all about having the familiarity and simplicity in its story. It feels like it's a Sam Raimi Spider-Man origin story, but then it just adds a lot of gore and violence to it, and a lot of complex themes that makes it question its genre, which allowed for an incredible Season 1, and something that I didn't think they were going to be able to top. I rewatched Season 1 this year, and I just was so surprised by how much it still holds up. Following Mark, who's really yearning to be a hero, yet struggles to be a hero in the world that he lives in because it's so complex, and it's so much more than a black and white world that he wants to see it as. It did so many things that Marvel and DC were just afraid to do, of just bending the laws of what they're expected to follow for so long with their superhero massive films. And what it does, it deviates from the rules that no one even told them they had to follow. And what it results in is just an incredible TV show that I was just highly anticipating for many years. So it's been 2 years. Can the show follow up? Is everyone's question on their mind. And in my opinion, yes, the show delivers in spades in its Season 2, and we're only halfway through. I think the Season 2 for Invincible takes large strides in understanding what just didn't really work in Season 1, and just really building on what did work in Season 1 for an incredible show. Like, the acting is really the main forefront of this show, having incredible voice actors, Oscar-nominated actors that just deliver incredible performances, so much heart into these characters that I love. Even the music from the great John Pasciano, who worked on Spider-Man and Daredevil, he just delivers another triumphant superhero score, and I'm not even surprised. Even the animation in Season 1 was definitely not too good. I mean, the story is what really carried Season 1, but the animation was definitely lacking. Everyone knew it, and the creators knew it as well. That's why Season 2 looks absolutely incredible. They really took their time, and they're taking their time right now with the second half of Season 2 for an incredibly animated show. So if you haven't seen Season 1, you're speculating if you should watch it, then absolutely, you definitely should. We're diving into spoilers from here on out, so just turn this off right away, go watch Season 1 and Season 2, and then come right back here. Because now I'm about to dive into spoilers for a show that I think is absolutely incredible, thematically rich, beautifully written, beautifully scored, incredible characters, the great, the wonderful, the incredible, Amazon Prime's So I was really wondering how this show is going to carry on in the events of a season 2, because after season 1, seeing Mark's dad beat the bricks off him in the finale, I knew there was going to be some kind of effect on Mark and the world, but not to this extent. It's felt so much throughout the entire universe of Invincible that these events are going to be very detrimental to how the show will carry on. Even in the first episode, the little choice that they make to not cut to the Invincible title card to the very end with Hensham Levy, it's so cool seeing that it's hard to define what invincible means anymore. I mean, Mark was never invincible physically because he gets really ran through, like in every single episode, he gets beat up like brutally, like bloody pulp. But just because of his invincible spirit, and nothing can really faze him, and seeing that he was broken mentally and spiritually, it's cool. Our protagonist is broken, and the world is really affected by that. I love seeing him in the opening of the show just acting out of guilt over reason. He's just saving crimes purely out of just the spiritual clarity. Still, he's doing the right thing, but it's almost like it's an empty gesture to the world, and that he's only doing it for himself and for therapy, that it's really lost its meaning for what it means to be invincible. There's just this psychological battle throughout season 2 with Mark, and this internal turmoil is allowing for such beautiful character development with Mark Grayson and Invincible that I'm excited to see grow. I mean, he's at a point in his life where Mark doesn't even fear death anymore, or dying, or the death of innocent people. Just really, he doesn't want to become his father. And what's at stake the most for Mark this season is just going over the edge, being pushed to the limit, breaking the one rule of going too far, and breaking his oath and his promise of being a hero. But even outside of Mark, I've noticed a lot of characters that have just gotten so much cool development and improvements. Obviously, number one, I guess, is Mark Grayson's girlfriend. I mean, in the first season, she was just overall a very inconsistent character. I think it's rightfully so why she just gets such heavy criticism by the entire fan base and the entire community. I mean, like, Invincible is literally getting, like, beaten with a sledgehammer by a giant white lion, and she's mad that he wasn't at a soup kitchen or at her parents' house for dinner. It's just a lot more consistent as the character, and just more understanding, more fleshed out, more nuance that we just didn't really get in season 1. Also, besides her, I think Debbie Grayson, Mark's mother, going through what she went through in season 1, in my opinion, is just the sleeper character of the season, for sure. I mean, she just has so much just emotional moments in the story, and is really the heart of the show right now. I know that's hard to really latch on to her when we're watching Invincible fight an underwater sea monster, but I think that Debbie is still one of the most important parts of the show right now, really just being that connection that Mark has to humanity, which is just driving him to be better every single day. And also just another outlet for us to see how what Omni Man did in that finale of season 1 is affecting everyone, especially affecting his loved ones. After he just called her a pet on TV, that's definitely going to have some kind of effect on her. And it has this entire season. I can't wait to see what else they do with that. It's so emotional, it's so gripping, and it's really surprising just how one human character can be one of the best in the entire show. Also, another character that I really love is Adam Eve. If you watched her special before season 2 dropped, it was absolutely incredible just seeing her backstory. I didn't really expect to like it too much, but the fighting in that special was incredible, as well as the character development. And I just love seeing her trying to figure out how to be a better hero without being a hero, and just trying to be a better person. That's all she wants to be. It's such a noble cause, and it's not easy in this world at all, because everyone hates superheroes after what Omni Man did, and it's just a struggle that she's going to have to try to find her footing through this entire second season and moving on. I mean, this show really is evolving with its characters and the world itself, and just the tone of the story. As dark as it was in the first season, we've barely scratched the surface of what this story is going to be doing moving forward. Like in Invincible season 1, the logo gets bloodier, and we just keep getting splatters of blood because it's inescapable what this world can hold. I mean, and it just shows how Mark, as hard as he tries to make Invincible the hero that he needs Invincible to be, it's just not a reality. It's not a reality in a world where Viltrumites and Omni Man exist. You're just going to get blood on your hands regardless, whether it's your fault or not. So you're going to have to adapt one way or another. And in season 2, it's cool seeing how blood just completely takes over the logo, and now it's just cracking into the dark black and blue. And this is just also the dark black and blue as the logo is changing is a tease just for something in the comics. If you don't know, I won't really tease it. But it's just cool seeing how the logo itself and the tone is really evolving. It feels like a caterpillar breaking out of its cocoon into a butterfly. I think that the world of Invincible is really just evolving into something so much greater than what Mark is ready for. I mean, he's still seeing the world in black and white, dark and light, evil and good, but it's not as easy as that. There's so much more murky gray and just evolution and depth to this world and these characters that I don't think that any of us are really ready to see at all. And that kind of segues into the coalition of planets and the just world building we're seeing in episode 3 of this council that is just representing the planets and just trying to fight back against the Viltrumites. In this episode, we get Peter Cullen, voice of Optimus Prime. I was trying not to just become a little kid again watching Transformers in 2008. But with Peter Cullen's character, he says there's a mole inside the coalition of planets. Then we see, obviously, Alan gets just absolutely mollywopped in the middle of space. Then he goes to turn down his life support after the very end. So maybe Peter Cullen is the mole in this coalition of planets. I don't think it is so far. But really, I think the concept of a coalition of planets just shows how great this world really is. I mean, obviously, there's a mole inside of it. But the question for me as I was watching the show is, obviously, the Viltrumites know about a coalition of planets. And since there's a mole inside of it, so why don't they just wipe out that entire planet and conquer it? I mean, it would be done in like a week, maybe. They had the time to knock out this planet that just is a cornerstone and a pillar of light for this group that's trying to fight back against the Viltrumites. So why don't they just destroy it? It would be pretty easy. I mean, you got to think, if they wanted the coalition of planets destroyed, then they would have already. It wouldn't have taken them too long to do at all. So why haven't they? I mean, asking myself little questions like that just made me realize this world is so much more than what we think it is, and we're just not ready for it at all. I mean, even outside of that, the biggest thing I wasn't ready for in this season was the return of Omni Man in episode 4. I knew, judging based off of just screenshots from comic panels of Invincible, that Omni Man eventually returns, but I just didn't think it would happen this early on in season 2. I thought maybe season 3, season 4, but definitely not this early on when we would least expect it. And I love that opening scene of episode 4, just him floating through space, a very lonely and reflective state of his life, just purposeless and a need for belonging somewhere in the universe. It's just cool seeing a godlike figure leave his planet and his home, his family, and just trying to find out his place in everything, trying to find out why there is an Omni-Man or a Viltrumite even. It's cool. There's so much depth to this character that I just wasn't ready to tap back into again, and J.K. Simmons' performance is just masterful. So masterful. Him, as well as Invincible's voice actor, do an incredible job in that episode 4. Very emotional, on the verge of tears. I think that it's just so impressive as well, seeing him just give such a sympathetic and also just combative performance, and me questioning if I can trust him after I just saw him beat the daylight out of Invincible in season 1. It's honestly pretty impressive just how an actor can bring that level of emotion to a character, making me feel like I know who Omni-Man is and I sympathize with him in a way, even though he killed millions of people back in the finale of season 1. And especially at the end of this first half of season 2, we see that he has a new wife and a new son. And on the surface, it does look like it's just a replacement for Debbie and Mark on Earth. But I think that as well, it just may be almost therapeutic for him. Maybe he just wants a second chance to do things right this time. Of course, like, he knew that being a Viltrumite, he would be hunted, obviously, for leaving his post. But also he knew that just crossbreeding would be forbidden and he would be killed and his child and wife would be killed in the process. But still, he did it regardless, which is just so cool. So fascinating, just something I needed more of. I need more of why he did this and what's going to happen next. I just can't wait. Just the complexities of this character are just being pulled back just one at a time, very slowly, and I just can never get enough of it. I know he's a character that sticks around a lot as the story progresses, just through the comics, and I think we're going to see his character just develop so much throughout the series. And I love how all of Omni-Man's actions just through Earth and what happened there with him birthing Mark and marrying Debbie to just destroying millions of countless innocent lives bounces back to Mark as well. It just bounces back to the entire world of Invincible. The universe just echoes through the consequences of what Omni-Man did, and it's understandable seeing how and why he has this just incredible development. And there's so many choices in politics throughout the world that are just happening because of the Viltrumite war that's unfolding, and it's just peeling back right now. We're just getting a glimpse of how big and how complex this world is. And at the end of this halfway point in season 2, when Mark is just beat up to a bloody pulp, bones just ruptured, a knife got shoved through his stomach, we get that one cool Viltrumite that comes down and tells him, You've proven yourself worthy. Go back to Earth, conquer it. If you don't, we're going to come back to Earth, do it for you, and then kill you in the process, which is just absolutely terrifying. There's so much stakes to this world. And also what I love is having our villains stay alive, like Omni Man, all these Viltrumites. We're going to see all these characters explored more. Something that's just lacking from MCU and also DCEU content right now. Villains living on beyond one movie, not just having a one movie villain that dies immediately, that we just get to see unfold, all these layers on them. The last MCU villain that just really got that kind of development was Thanos, because he was just the main villain for 10 years. But outside of that, it's something that's lacking from the MCU, something that I want more of, that Invincible does so well. But Mark definitely has the entire universe really on his shoulders here. I mean, everything is leaning on him to succeed. So many choices need to be made, and I have honestly a lot of worry for him, even though he's the main character. His name is the show, yet I think he might fail. But what I love with Mark and having him as a protagonist is just his adversity and his just commitment to being better, to being greater, to being a good Invincible. I mean, throughout the entire show's running time, he didn't choose to get his powers. He didn't choose to be a son of a Viltrumite, but he chose to be Invincible. And he's going to choose to do what's right, which is what I love in any hero, but just this hero specifically, he does it so well. And this show is just something that I'm never really going to be able to just talk about enough. I know that I'm just going to miss a lot from season 2, but we're only halfway through. There's only 4 episodes so far, and I think these 4 episodes are better than a lot of MCU content right now. I'm not going to lie to you. But besides that, this is just definitely one of my favorite shows of the year by far. Number 1, still The Bear, but this may be a close second. I can't wait for season 2 early next year. I want to see more of this show and just talk about it more, and I'm so eager to see what else comes our way. Well, that wraps up this very somewhat quick review of Invincible Season 2, halfway. It's honestly, I'd say, perfect right now. I want to talk about it more, but time will come for a full Season 2 review in early 2024. This is the last episode of November, sadly, but we do have a lot planned for December with our December opening episode next week, Monday, as well as a episode for The Boy and Heron from Studio Ghibli. Very excited to see that. I have a IMAX exclusive preview screening that Monday, and I just can't wait to get that episode out to you, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. But until then, I hope you know that you made today absolutely incredible by just you being you. There's no one else in the world like you, and I love you just the way you are. Until then, watch more movies, and I'm your host Logan, and I'll see you in the movies.